Hi guys, this is Connie wrapping up part 3 of Brian's Hunt, technically chapter 11, but it's called The Hunt, and we'll have an extra piece afterwards. So, we ended on oh man. But no other serious damage. He didn't quite believe it, not at first. The bear had seemed to be all over him, hitting and biting, and he thought the wounds would be much more serious. He turned to the bear. The dog had walked around the carcass, her hair still up, growling with bared teeth. But when the bear hadn't moved and was obviously dead, she had moved closer, peed on the bear's leg, back kicked dirt onto the body, and walked away to sit off to the side, licking her left rear leg where she had a small cut. The bear lay dead, and Brian tried to find some feeling of triumph as the dog had, some sense of victory. But all he could think of were David and Anne, and the great loss that Susan and her brother and sister had in their lives now. He had thought there would be more. He even hoped that he would feel more. But there was nothing but the loss of his friends. And a dead bear. Not a villain, not an evil thing, just a dead bear, like any other dead animal that he might have hunted. Killing the bear did not bring back his friends, did not ease the pain for Susan and her brother and sister. It was just what it was, a dead bear. And he would have to clean it now, skin it, pull the carcass down to the lake, and get his canoe, and take it back to camp, and use what he could, not waste any more than he had to, because, in the end, it was as wrong to waste the bear as it was to let it live after what it had done. In the firelight, he found his bow and arrows, and knife, and small aluminum pot. The pot was dented, but he pulled the edges apart and made it serviceable. It was not far to the lake, and he brought water up and boiled it, and gave some to the dog, and drank some himself. Then he boiled mud, and put it on his cuts and the dog's head to keep morning flies away, then took the knife and turned to the bear. There was much work to do. And that's the end of the chapter called The Hunt. This one's titled Afterward. And this is definitely from the author himself, from Mr. Gary Paulson. Let's see what he has to say. Afterward. I can almost hear the voices. You said the last Brian book was the last Brian book. And I did say that. But the response from readers is still profoundly overwhelming. Hundreds of letters a day, all wanting more of Brian. And so this book, and I will no longer say that I will write no more about Brian in the North Woods. In some way, he has become real to many, many people, and they want to see more of him. And so, we shall see. As to the subject of this story, it is hard to imagine any animal as evil. Only man would seem to have a capacity for true evil and deliberate cruelty. And bear especially lend themselves to seeming likable. They have been romanticized to a point far beyond reality. What bears truly are has been lost in concepts like the teddy bear and Winnie the Pooh. And I can well understand how some people will view the bear and the attacks in this story. Some years ago, just after the movie Free Willy, a film about a captive killer whale that a boy helps to freedom, had come out, I was interviewed on a radio call-in show and mentioned that I had seen 2 killer whales playing with a baby seal, throwing it back and forth like a toy before killing it and eating it. And the phone almost jumped off the hook. Killer whales are friendly, people said, which is sometimes true, and they only eat fish, which is not true. They not only eat seals, but often dolphins as well. And off the coast of New Zealand, a female and her half-calf attacked a scuba diver. They are wolves of the sea, if you will. And for a killer whale to eat, as with wolves, something else has to die. And so too, bear. The truth about bear is that they are cute and smart and sometimes lovable. And they also kill things and have on more occasions than some people like to admit, attacked and killed and eaten human beings. I have had a bear come into my sled dog kennel and kill dogs to get at their food. One particular dog, Hulk, was killed with a single blow in the middle of the night. My wife has been chased from the garden to the house by a bear, which almost caught her. It had a small terrier named Quincy hanging on its neck fur all the way. And I have a friend whose nephew was in a scout camp in Wisconsin, and a bear pulled him out of his tent at night and tried to carry him off and eat him, only to let go when dozens of scouts attacked the bear with rocks and sticks and forced it to drop the boy, who had to get hundreds of stitches and has not fully recovered the use of his arm. And the attack in this story, a couple killed and the woman partially eaten, happened almost exactly as I described it. The bear attacked them on an island in the lake in the Canadian woods where they had come in a canoe to fish, killed both of them, and dragged the woman off to feed. We don't like to think of ourselves as prey. It is a lessening thought. But the truth is that in our arrogance and so-called knowledge, we forget that we are not unique. We are part of nature as much as other animals, and some animals, sharks, fever-bearing mosquitoes, wolves, and bear, to name but a few, perceive us as a food source, a meat supply, and simply did not get the memo about how humans are superior. It can be shocking, humbling, painful, very edifying, and sometimes downright fatal to run into such an animal. That's a good warning. Cautionary tale. And that is the end of Brian's Hunt. And as for now, as of, when was this thing published? Scroll through. This is 2003. So as of right now, as of like 15 years ago, unless I do some research, this is the last Brian's book that has been released so far. And it has been awesome. And I'm glad that you guys enjoy listening to it. I have enjoyed reading it. So be careful with that and enjoy, please and thank you. And I will see you for the next book installment. Have a great day.